Hey guys, and welcome to the Working Money Channel. So the Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index, we are now sitting in a neutral spot, guys, 47 on a range from 0 to 100. So Bitcoin and the rest of the crypto space by extension is kind of not bearish, nor is it bullish either though. And so here are just some of the historic values that we've seen over the last month. If you guys remember deep into last month, we were seeing 15, so extreme fear. Slowly we were coming out of that. Last week we saw 30, yesterday 46, and now today at a 47. So, even guys like Plan B here on Twitter are seeing that Bitcoin is moving away from realized price in the light blue. Another demonstration of the Bitcoin trend over the last decade or so, as you guys can see, realized price. That would be the gray line down here, and then this black line denotes the 200 weekly moving average. And the dots represent Bitcoin to USD, so distance to realized price. It's almost like a heat map, okay? The cooler you get, the closer the distance is, and the warmer you get, the further the distance is. And conversely, we can see that cool range when the market has bottomed, and as the price just gets hotter and hotter, well, the heat map warms up too, and we can see that, in the red and orange up here, this is when Bitcoin has historically reached its all-time high. And we're getting out of that range down in here. We are getting out of the dark blue, moving into light blue territory. So this is, what this is denoting is that we are slowly moving away from the bottom of the market. I don't know where this market sentiment chart is from, but this was from Macatech XRP as well. 9% now are saying that they are bearish. They're still bearish on cryptocurrency, whereas 91% is saying that they are bullish. Of course, we did just see a recent peak. I've got XRP up here on the chart. Actually, let me just take a look at Bitcoin right now. Here is Bitcoin on the hourly. You guys can see we did reach 25,000 for BTC, and this just happened over the last few hours. You can see it reached that top right up there and hit $25,000. So this was overnight. Since then, we have seen the price come back down, but take a look at that large volume bar there. So a large spike seemingly out of nowhere for Bitcoin, hitting that 25,000 mark before moving down. And, we are seeing XRP and the rest of the crypto space doing the same. XRP broke 39 cents. Right now it's trading at about 38.3. And Michael posted this article here from the Daily Hodl. This has to do with another prediction. Former Goldman Sachs executive makes high conviction call for crypto bottom amid shifting macro backdrop. Now, this prediction is from Raoul Pal. He says he believes with a high degree of certainty that the bottom for the crypto market is in. And here's his explanation for this. For me, the macro is rolling over. By that, I mean we're going into a recession. We should see things like the ISM, Institute for Supply Management, survey and other things start falling apart pretty quickly. The forward-looking elements are falling apart already. We're seeing it globally. So that's growth evaporating. Alongside that, he says, the narrative hasn't caught up. Most commodities are down between 30 and 50%. Everyone's long and expecting oil to go to $200. I think there's a washout coming and it goes down to $60. So that's the last inflation story. But according to Powell, the change in the macro backdrop will trickle down to businesses and the labor market. He goes on to say people built massive inventories after the beer flu. Those inventories are now unsold because the economy is slowing down and inflation eating disposable income. So we've seen it from Walmart and Amazon. We're going to start discounting inventories to try to shift it. People are laying off staff. So the macro cycle is going to get to the ugly phase. Powell highlights that the bad news on the horizon for the economy is good news for financial markets, and this is why. Why is that making Powell bullish? Well, because the outcome to that is, as inflation comes down and bond yields fail, liquidity conditions do improve. And what drives financial markets at the macro level the most is liquidity conditions. As for crypto, Powell says the shift in the macro landscape could trigger a tidal wave of demand from institutional investors. So is it any coincidence that we did see the BlackRock Coinbase deal occur just last week? He goes on to say the other big players in the space now, the hedge funds, the macro funds, and then the institutions, well, they're also a function of liquidity. When liquidity is more available and cheaper for them, they can apply more leverage essentially in their portfolios. The macro guru also says that with liquidity conditions improving, he believes that crypto is gearing up to ignite a fresh market cycle. My view is, let's give it a probability of about 70%. So he is saying we are 70% likely at the bottom of this trend, and we are slowly moving our way up. So that's a pretty high conviction that the low is in, and therefore we're starting the upside cycle. So bringing it back to, let's actually just take a look at the total market cap here. Total market cap, throw it on the daily. And what Pal is saying, what Rahul Pal is saying is that this is it, guys. Whoops. Let's get rid of all that. This is it. We are now with 70% certainty coming out of this cycle. Okay, I was also mentioning it too from these Nike swoosh patterns that we've seen during former downtrends, followed by that slow grind up. We are seeing it here as well. So, macro cycle now, perhaps in the works. The bigger question I think that's on a lot of XRP holders' minds is, are we going to get out of this lawsuit in order to be able to appreciate the benefits of this next crypto market rally? So, we're not out of the woods yet. This could still, we're seeing a good move to the upside as of now, but, this might go down a little before it goes up a little. And so, it's anybody's guess when this is really going to pop off top. We've had predictions that the fall 2022, quarter 3, quarter 4, 2022, or more so quarter 4 of 2022 and into early 2023. This is when we're really going to see the market pop, make that definitive move. So are we going to see XRP free and clear of the SEC shackles before we see the market move? Michael Branch posted this. Okay, so this is just an article highlighting a video. It was a securities docket webcast clip on YouTube featuring John Barry, okay, ex-SEC lawyer, and he discusses XRP. Barry argued that XRP is similar to Ether and Bitcoin in the clip. He acknowledged the differences between the three coins, but insisted that none fit the Howey test. So, I don't know if you guys caught this. This was posted a few days ago from eRob here on Twitter. In this clip, John Barry explains his position on XRP, and I don't necessarily agree with everything that he says here. He likens XRP to Ethereum for reasons that I think, most of the XRP community would disagree with. Nevertheless, he does say some interesting things. If you guys haven't seen this clip yet, let me play it for you right now.
In litigation.
John and Mike, you're listening to Steve or even just looking at SEC filings. All you do is apply this 80-year-old Howey case and SEC wins. That's it, open and shut. Are there defenses or is it hopeless?
Well, what's interesting, it goes to what I was talking about earlier, that, 2-3 years ago when the SEC started bringing all these cases, most of those cases, I think, for the most part, clearly fit within Howey. There were people who were using these tokens to raise money for something that hadn't even been created yet. And it was clear that they were marketed that way, and it was very clear. The SEC, I think, has gotten more aggressive. I think that the Telegram and Kick cases, I thought were pretty aggressive cases. And I certainly would put Ripple in that category. You look at Ripple itself, it's a token that's been around since, I think, 2013. And it's a lot like this other currency called Ether, which is a lot like Bitcoin. Ether started, and the founders of Ether used the token to raise money to help build its platform. And now Ether is out there and can be used just like Bitcoin to buy goods and services. But the SEC has not and has never brought a case against Ether. And so I think that's an interesting comparison when you look at Ripple and Ether being so similar. Now, the SEC is going to point out certain things about Ripple that could make it different. Ripple, they would say, marketed its XRP, it's called an XRP token, as an investment. Its founders made money by selling it. Ripple's not quite as decentralized as Bitcoin. Bitcoin has, I think I mentioned earlier, these people called miners, that third parties who are not affiliated with Bitcoin at all, are just third parties out there making money by confirming these transactions, which is called mining. Ripple doesn't really do it that way. It's one of its sort of what it advertises as a good part of the way its token works. It doesn't have these miners. And these miners have to, instead it has what are called validators who are more...
John Barry sounds like he's struggling a little bit with the explanation of the technology, which, okay, I'll give him a pass on. The clip ends there. Let me play you the second part of the clip down here, courtesy of erob_Cali here on Twitter.
Affiliated with the company. So there are arguments that the SEC can make that will say that this fits within Howey, but when you're looking at a currency token like XRP, which is the Ripple token, it's being used and has been used for almost 10 years to buy goods and services. It's a tougher argument under Howey because you can argue that it's more like getting a Bitcoin, which is you're not investing in something, you're just getting something like cash to buy things. And I think it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. I think one thing that's very interesting is that the court in that case has been pretty, I think, defense friendly, and has allowed discovery, limited, but allowed discovery of the SEC, of the SEC's decisions. The defense, who actually is led by Mary Jo White, who was the former SEC chair, has gone after the SEC to argue, look, you never did anything against Ether, but you did something against Ripple. We should be able to see whatever decisions you made in that regard. And I think that discovery fight's still ongoing. But it'd be interesting to see if and when the SEC does produce internal memos explaining its decisions and how much the court is going to force the SEC to do that. The other thing I think is interesting about the Ripple case is that's an example of what Mike was talking about, private plaintiffs getting involved in this space. Private plaintiffs actually filed a class action, I think it was 2 years before the SEC got involved. And so that class action was pending for a while, and it just shows what Mike was talking about, that private plaintiffs are getting into this space. It used to be, you would never see a big private class action in this space, and now you're seeing a lot more of it. I mean, they have their legal hurdles. One of them, right, you're bringing registration cases, not these 10b5 type fraud cases. Some of them mix that in, but a lot of these private cases are registration cases. And those are, you've got standing issues, you've got recovery issues that are different than fraud cases, which I think, as Mike pointed out, I agree. I think it's going to make it difficult for private plaintiffs to do these kind of cases, but they're definitely out there, and Ripple's a classic example of it.
All right, so John Barry here, former senior SEC lawyer, discussing XRP, and, in this clip, not quite getting all the details correct, but he does see that the Howey test is problematic, and that XRP is in a lot of ways like Ether, but also in a lot of ways like Bitcoin, how he used that example of using it as cash for purposes to buy and sell. He did not really touch on the fact that it is a utility token as well, which, just opens the argument up to many other points that I think would be problematic to the SEC's case. The one thing he did say, though, independent retail plaintiffs jumping into this case, i.e. John Deaton's accrued group of 70,000 plus XRP hodlers, and he says that they will have a hard time breaking through. Those were his words, not my words. But anyway, a lot of interesting information there, and the full YouTube video is also linked here in this tweet thread if you guys are interested. I'm going to keep moving along, guys. Another one here from Michael Branch. This has to do with ING Bank, okay? They just unveiled new crypto custody product. Now, we've been hearing of banks unveiling these new crypto custody products. A lot of these are Ripple-enabled banks. And just to give you guys some context, the Dutch bank ING was to implement Ripple crypto for international payments all the way back in 2017. Now, I don't know if they continued with this, if this was just a proof of concept, if they're still using it today. For all intents and purposes, though, they do know that it exists, and now they're unveiling new crypto custody products. So this new product is called Pictor, which will enable crypto custody services and a post-trade infrastructure platform to GMEX Group, a trading enterprise with a special niche for crypto assets. ING Bank unleashes Pictor. The move is coming at an unusual time. The digital currency market has been in a heavy period of suffering during the past several months, with assets like Bitcoin losing more than 70% of their value. But what they do not realize is this is the best time to implement this kind of thing. They don't want to just jump on the hype. Take the time when the market has cooled down. Take the time to integrate this software. Make sure to figure out all the kinks before they go full-fledged into crypto. It made sense for ING to spin Pictor out, and then it becomes much more neutral. We've got a strong go-to market with the likes of AWS and others, and the bank can capitalize on that. These networks are all about wider adoption, so getting beyond a single player or a small set of players. So this quote here was coming from GMEX's CEO, Hirenda Misra. Misra will now serve as the official chairman of Pictor. This will put him in direct correlation with ING, which he'll continue to work with. At press time, the financial terms of the deal have not been issued to the public. But the bigger point here, guys, ING Bank, who we know at least has trialed RippleNet, and, if my memory serves me correctly, I believe they are still a Ripple partner. They are now unveiling a new crypto custody product, the same as many other banks are doing worldwide. Why is this important, guys? Why is this important? Well, Wall Street, Silver here pointing this out. I am so shocked by this report. Now, Americans, listen up. This is what the IRS is doing. Supercharged IRS will collect $20 billion more from Americans making less than $400,000 under Inflation Reduction Act, says a report. The IRS is looking to really hit Americans hard this year, and it's interesting. It doesn't really seem very intuitive, does it? You know, wouldn't the government want to help, their people alleviate some of that financial pressure, in a time when inflation is unprecedented? We're really widening the gap between the haves and the have-nots. Well, I also saw this, guys. This is, I saw this on my personal Facebook page by somebody I know in my personal life. IRS lists jobs that require use of gun and possible deadly force. So I'm sure some of you guys have heard about this. A new ad for IRS agents who are able to use deadly force has gotten the attention of many on Twitter. A link to the listed jobs entitled Criminal Investigation Special Agents was temporarily deleted after a firestorm of controversy was reported on Fox News, and I've got the Fox News clip that I'll get to in a second. A key requirement, and notice they put key requirements here in quotes for applicants, is that they have to be legally allowed to carry a firearm. And major duties include carry a firearm and will be willing to use deadly force if necessary, and be willing to be able to participate in arrests, execution of search warrants, and other dangerous assignments according to the job posting. The requirement that agents will be willing to use deadly force if necessary drew heated criticism online, although the same language appears in job postings for other law enforcement agencies such as the FBI. But this is the IRS, and at no point in history, to my knowledge at least, did the IRS have to prepare in such an extreme way to separate people from their hard-earned dollars. What I'm assuming here is that it's only going to get worse in 2023. This has been predicted too, guys. This is nothing new. This has been predicted by Martin Armstrong, if you guys follow him. I don't know if you're familiar with Armstrong. I will link to a video I did about Martin Armstrong and some of his predictions up here in the top right-hand corner. 2022 was supposed to be the year of political turmoil and chaos, but 2023, the year of overall chaos worldwide. And, if the government is going to come and expect more money from more tax dollars from you, well, they're going to need a way to implement this. And it's looking like the IRS is showing their cards. Now, here's the clip from Fox News just discussing this.
And here's the other requirement. Be willing to use deadly force if necessary. Joining me now is Kentucky Congressman Thomas Massie of the Judiciary Committee. Congressman, the press is trying to spin this. The Biden administration's narrative is horrible. This has completely backfired on them this week. But I get the sense that this is just the beginning of what we're going to see with this agency being turned against the American people.
Yeah, and not just this agency. What a lot of people may not realize is last week, the Democrats, through our Judiciary Committee, passed a ban on the AR-15. They call it a weapon of war. But they made sure that their ban exempted every federal department, including the IRS, the Department of Education, and the USDA. So you've got to put that in the context of now this week, tomorrow, we're going to be voting to add 87,000 IRS agents to the rolls. And then taken with this website, and like you showed, look, they got caught. They had this on their website. I went and looked at the Internet Archives. They put it up since Biden became president, that you must be willing to do deadly force, to exert deadly force. And they just took it down yesterday because they got caught recruiting that way. And by the way, Laura, I've talked to people who spent their life in law enforcement. They said this is the last thing you would put in a job posting. You get the wrong kind of people. If you say you want to kill people, join us.
I mean, the Border Patrol can't even use deadly force pretty much, right? So Border Patrol, no, but the IRS, yes. That's a twisted world we're living in. Now, the new ATF director actually sat down with CNN today. Watch this.
He sat down with CNN to discuss the litany of threats his agents are trying to counter from coast to coast, including a rise in violent domestic extremism.
I think the first thing we need to do is to be honest about the fact that we have a problem. But I will tell you, it's gotten more bold, more brazen, and more violent.
Your response to that, we apparently have a massive domestic terror problem in the United States, and they all just happen to be Trump supporters. Congressman.
Yeah, we've asked the DOJ about this. The DHS actually put out a bulletin that said that if you do certain things, like you deny things about the vaccine, that you may be a violent domestic terrorist, or, it's crazy. Maybe you grow your own food. Now you're going to be labeled as such. it's crazy what can put you on this list, and I think it's dangerous.
So I'm going to leave it there. Notice the labeling of being a domestic terrorist, as this gentleman puts it. Even things such as simple things like growing your own food, having an alternative viewpoint about the beer flu, so on and so forth. All this could make you a target. And so, what is the IRS planning? What are governments around the world planning? Because I don't think this is just happening in the United States. Anybody who is on board with a Great Reset agenda, the tearing down of the financial system and rebuilding a new one, I think many global governments are on board with the same way of thinking, the same strategy. Maybe they're not being as overt about it as the IRS. But even if this does occur, guys, let's not forget that the IRS did classify XRP a currency in a video presentation they did in 2018. I did a video on this a few months ago. I will link that video up here in the top right-hand corner if you guys didn't catch that. So we hold our XRP, and just bringing up the rich list again, guys, all these links are going to be in the description of the video. Just remember how few of us there are. You only need about 61,000 XRP to be in the 1% of XRP holders. This is still a very rare asset that the powers that be likely never wanted us to hold to begin with. And I mean, if you have your XRP locked away in a cold storage solution like a Ledger Nano or something else, again, link in the description if you guys want to use it. You don't have to use it though. It's probably your best option if the IRS comes knocking at the door. That's just my opinion, but I want to hear what you guys think. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like the video if you like the content I'm providing. I always love hearing your comments. See you in the next one, guys.